Be willing to change your mind, because when you create that certainty, because we're addicted to certainty, that woke is the way to go and all these MAGA people are fascist communists who deserve to die. So you create that identity. Once you have an identity, your ego wants to protect it. So you have to be willing to question the premise of everything. I believe one of the biggest issues many people face is they are addicted to certainty.
Would you consider control and certainty to be the same?
Being addicted to certainty is one of the symptoms of wanting to control your environment.
How do you encourage people to separate their identity from outcomes?
Not playing it safe, zigging when everyone else is zagging. Everybody has a tendency to that. The idea to have strong ideas loosely held.
One myth about success that you wish would die or go away. Randy, thank you so much for carving out time to hang out with us.
Hey, Jeff, thanks for bringing me in.
All right. So, I'm going to talk about what everybody wants to know with that intro, right? From jail cell to a global stage. Is it okay if we start there?
Sure.
So you have lived both extremes. Probably living the more desirable extreme now, it appears. So from jail cell as a teenager to becoming a globally respected voice on prosperity. You're in jail. Let's go back. So a teenager, like what ages?
I was in jail at 15 for burglary and armed robbery.
Armed robbery. That's heavy at 15.
That's heavy at any age, but
I thought it was going to be like truancy and
yeah, because people think, oh yeah, he was, he threw toilet paper in somebody's tree on Halloween, maybe. No,
right. I was like, you stole your parents' car or something. Dang, so that's heavy. All right, so you're in jail at 15 for armed robbery. Now, did you have a history prior to that, like of doing?
Well, my history was drugs and alcohol. Raised by a single mom, raising 3 kids by herself, knocking on doors, selling Avon. So she was in bed when I got up and fixed breakfast and went to school, and she was out working when I came home from school.
Okay.
And because she had to be, she's raising 3 kids. Back in the time when there weren't many single moms raising 3 kids, I can tell you that.
Right, and those that were judged severely.
And I made some poor choices, right? I had a brother and I had a younger sister. They didn't choose drug and alcohol. I did. So that's on me. That's not on anyone else. But we were poor. I hated being poor. I thought the world was immensely unfair, that these other kids I went to school with, they had go-karts and mini bikes, and they turned 16 and mommy or daddy bought them a new car. And they went to vacations and cool places, and their family had a nice car. And, I was sharing a bedroom with my brother, and my sister was sharing a bedroom with my mother, and the 4 of us were sharing one bathroom in a dingy little apartment. And man, I just thought, I'm going to take things into my own hands. I want to be rich. These rich people have too much money. They don't need it. I need it. I'll go get it. Total entitlement mentality, right?
Yeah.
And then when you're in jail, that's a pretty good opportunity to reflect maybe on some of your life choices.
And not a lot else to do.
And you just sit, there was a little window in my cell door. It was a metal door.
Let me back up for a minute before we go there first. I want to know more about your setting. So you're in an apartment. Were you in like a suburban environment? You mentioned go-karts, mini bikes. I had the same thing. We had kids in our neighborhood with go-karts, mini bikes, new bicycle every Christmas kind of thing. Were you in a suburban setting, like a neighborhood? I know you're in an apartment.
I was in Allied Drive in Madison, Wisconsin, and there weren't go-karts and mini bikes and things like that there. But I took a bus to school, and some of the kids I went to school with lived around that school, and they had those nice things.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you for that. I was so curious. Okay, so now, so you're in your jail cell. You've got a window.
Yeah, and you just there was I'm looking through there, and there's a clock out in the hallway, and it's just tick 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 the second
Oh,
hand.
not a window to the outside, a window.
No, a window to the hallway. It was just because it was a metal, cinder block cell metal
Yeah.
door, little window with the glass with the wires that run through it so it can't be broken, and into the hallway of the jail. And there was a clock out there, and I would sit on my cot watching the second hand tick by the clock. And you definitely come to the understanding that, hey, maybe this glamorous Robin Hood thing isn't going to work out as well as I thought initially.
Yeah. Um, okay, so what changed for you first? And this is a leading question. I think you and I know the answer. But what changed for you first? Did your circumstances change or did your beliefs change?
Yeah, you do know the answer. It definitely had to change my beliefs. And I was really blessed. One of the girls, the girlfriend of one of my best friends I went to school with, my best friend. I didn't have multiple, I had one. So he dated this girl, and her father was a teacher. And she went home and said, "You got to go help Randy. He's in jail. He's going to rot away." And one day, there's keys jangling, the cell doors open, and this guy comes in. Never met me, I never met him. And he tells me, "You don't belong here. You're capable of great things." I told him, "You're full of shit. You don't even know who you're talking to."
Yeah.
He should have slapped me into next week, but he didn't. He said, "Actually, I do know. I've talked to your teachers. I'm a teacher. I talked to every teacher you've had the last couple of years. They tell me you're brilliant. You skip school for 3 weeks in a row, and then you come in and you ace the test. Your reading comprehension level is beyond college level, but you have no participation. You have very poor social skills. You don't get along, and maybe you haven't found the thing that helps you learn, but you're capable of great things. You don't belong here." Now, unbeknownst to him, unbeknownst to me, my mother, or anyone else, I was autistic on the spectrum. Back then, that wasn't even a diagnosis. That wasn't a diagnosis till like 85. And as you can see, I'm very old. So this was happening before 85. People, my poor mother just thought, well, one of my kids is really weird. Other people thought I was retarded. Other people just
Yeah.
like, he's an alien from another planet. That's what I thought anyway. Um, and but he had seen that, or talked to my teachers and seen that possibility, and I desperately wanted to believe what he was telling me, so I believed it. And because I believed it, it was true.
Yeah.
You know exactly how that works, right?
Yeah.
If I wouldn't have believed him, it wouldn't have been true. But because I chose to believe him, it was true.
Wow. Because that is so hard to do. It's easy to believe the bad stuff. It would be easy to believe, yeah, I've got a weird son. That's easy to believe, right? But it's so hard to believe someone coming in and saying, "Hey, you're amazing. You're reading at the college level. You're brilliant." That's hard to believe.
Yeah, isn't that say something about our society and our customs and our culture that that's the case?
Yeah, and I'm so fascinated by that topic. It's like the brain is broken. Like we can't, if I believe something is good, then that's a threat to my safety. It's just so bizarre. Um,
It's not even that we see it as, I think, as a threat to our safety. It's a threat to our identity. And you open
mm,
the show with some very intriguing comments on certainty and
yeah,
uncertainty. And I believe one of the biggest issues many people face is they are addicted to certainty.
Oh,
And so I know that that held me back for many years because I was addicted to certainty. I wanted, if I get somebody say, let's go to the movies. I'm like, you know what, traffic will be so bad right now. I don't know if we'll find a parking spot. What is that?
I don't know.
That was
I know
like
what you're
my
talking about.
default.
Like I'm in it with you.
Yeah, that's my default. That was my default setting. And that was just looking for certainty that yes, there will be a parking space there. Yes, there traffic will flow smoothly. Yes, everything's going to work out perfect. And for me, it really, I did 3 or 4 years of therapy, was really helpful for me. And then I
Yeah.
did something after therapy that I couldn't even imagine. I and my partner, we went on a vacation in Europe with no agenda
Oh
and
my gosh.
without even hotels booked. We started in Netherlands and Amsterdam, and then we drove to Belgium and went to Bruges and went to, where we just and found a hotel along the way and rented a car and which is for me that was the most out of character, earth shattering behavior that I had ever done, craziest thing in my life. For me to rob a place, that was a very calculated, well thought out plan of action. I had cased the joint, I had my strategy, you know what I mean? To go
You
years
thought you
later,
knew what the outcome would be.
yeah. And whereas years later, to just say, hey, let's just drive around and see where we end up and take it one day at a time and have this carefree spirit and attitude. And I think there's so many people missing so much of life because they don't allow themselves to do that.
But I wonder if it's so that I wonder if it's more control
It's a control thing for sure.
or control. Would you consider control and certainty to be the same?
I think
Maybe.
being addicted to certainty is one of the symptoms of wanting to control your environment.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, and like that certainty when things are uncertain, here's what I believe to be true. When things are uncertain, we don't know, so we don't have data. If we don't have data, then our brain has to find data because we need to plug those holes. And the easiest data to find is the scary stuff. What's going to go wrong? We don't really go find what's going to go right, but if we find what goes wrong, then we're protecting ourselves.
Yeah,
So that uncertainty, that going to the movies, oh my God, the parking and oh my God, the traffic and then the movie's going to be packed. God forbid I have to sit beside a stranger.
right.
All of that stuff. Um, so you've said before, and it's in one of your books, I think it might be a multiple, but you've said that most people are programmed to fail. I wouldn't disagree with that. At the same time, that's a pretty strong statement. Where does that programming come from?
It starts at childhood. For most people, you've been completely, your life, your future, your destiny has been completely programmed by the time you're 8 years old
Mm,
because you have core foundational beliefs in 6 key areas: God and religion, health and wellness, marriage and relationship, money and success. Um, how many I got so far? That was
that's
four.
four. We got four.
Okay. So what did we say? Sex and sexuality is 5. So wellness, sex, God, religion. Oh, hell, marriage and relationships would be the 6th one,
Okay.
right? So
Yeah.
your parents are arguing all the time. One's cheating on the other. One's abusive. You have a core foundational belief about how relationships work at 8 years old. And
Yeah.
you'll go out and you will blow up your marriage at 35 years old or 25 years old because of the core foundational belief you learned at 8.
Because that's where the comfort level is.
You'll blow up your health because of the core foundational belief you got before you were 8. If
Yeah.
you were raised in a fundamentalist household with religion and told you're not worthy and you're born a sorry sinner and you're not meant to be happy in this life and you only can get your reward in the afterlife if you're really good. I call these cosmic frequent flyer programs, like
Yeah.
with Delta or American, if you save enough miles, then you can get the free trip to Hawaii. So there's a lot of religions teach the same thing. If you do enough, rub enough rosary beads, say enough Hail Marys, prostrate yourself enough, beg and plead and pray enough, and if you accumulate enough points,
Yeah.
then you're going to get the free trip in the afterlife, right? To
Yeah.
bliss and heaven and reincarnation or whatever the particular beliefs are. And that's core beliefs that you're programmed with at 6, 7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
And that's why I say most people are there until you and if you, because a lot of people go through their whole life and never question any of that.
Right. It's just normal.
It's just normal.
Yep.
Everybody in my family is like most families. Okay. When you're in your 30s, you add 5, 10 extra pounds. When you're in 40s, you add another 5, 10 pounds. In your 50s, you add another 5, 10. By the time you're 60, you're on 10 prescription drugs. By the time you're 70, you're on 20 prescription daily drugs. If you make it
Yeah.
to 80, you're incontinent, you're incoherent, you're immobile, you're on 25 drugs.
Yeah. I get it. Yep.
And you got those beliefs when you were a kid.
Yeah.
And
So I'll
that's
make this.
until, at some point in your 20s, in your 30s, it could be in your 50s or 60s. You just say, wait a minute, that belief doesn't serve me.
Well,
I'm going
hopefully that's
to
what you say. Hopefully you realize it, right?
I'm going to blow up that belief. I'm going to send it back to the nothingness from where it came from. And I'm going to replace it with a belief that empowers me. Like even me, my mission is to make the world more prosperous. My podcast, my books, my entrepreneur accelerator program, everything I do is geared on let's make the world more prosperous. And the way we do
Hmm.
that is raise the consciousness of people, help them
Hmm.
get an operating system for their life that works for them, right? But
Yeah.
along the way, you have to. So I've been doing this for 30 years. It's just studying the principles of prosperity. And still I catch myself, wow, I bought into this belief. Like 2025 was my greatest year ever in terms of everything. I made the most money I've ever made. My investments made more money than they've ever made. My health was amazing. I did the whole head to toe body scan perfect. I did the Gallery blood test perfect. I measure 3 times a year. I measured 40 different markers: liver, lipids,
Got it.
cholesterol, HD4, white cell, blah blah
Health
blah.
is good.
I'm in the perfect range for all of them for 4 blood tests in a row. My
Okay.
chronological age went back a year and a half over 2025, right?
Hmm.
So my relationships were great. I mean, it was the most incredible year ever. And it's funny because when I looked back and I analyzed it, I realized, well, that's because I I stopped buying into this bullshit belief, which I had bought into, which is because I'm going to be 67 in like 5 weeks, right? So I bought in this belief of, your prime earning years are probably behind you. Now you should be in your wealth preservation years. And well, that's all bullshit that some accountant who has a degree in, finance made up and everybody believed. But it doesn't have to be true. So if I decide that at 66, I want to have the greatest earning year of my life, I did that. And I've got enough business already booked for this year, 26, that I know it's going to be better than 25. But even me doing all this work, the guy who writes the books, does the podcast, I had to check the premise, look at the beliefs and ask myself, hey, is that belief serving me?
Yeah. Yeah, to go back to program to fail, to make it real, like layman's terms, the first time I really encountered anything like that was at a Harv Eker conference, I guess. So he did a talk and he was talking about financial blueprint. Like you
Yeah.
have a financial blueprint. I was like, what are you talking about? Financial blueprint. And it was the same principle that you're talking about. You know, how your family talked about money
Yeah.
when you were a kid, like, oh, look at the people across the street. They have this or this. They probably stole it or whatever. So that then you're programmed that money's bad. Money's evil. You do bad things to get money. So everything that you're speaking about might be foreign to some people, but I mean, that's really how this happens.
Yeah. Harv invited me to do a program with him in LA a few years back.
Oh
And I
yeah,
did, yeah. And he did a segment, in his time, he did a segment on, because of course, The Millionaire Mind that
yeah,
was his book, right? Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, I think.
right,
Yeah. It's a totally about the core foundational beliefs that you have about
yeah.
money and success.
Yeah. Yeah, his was very specific, but yours is like, hey, it doesn't have to be money. It's all these beliefs that we have. How'd you say you were? You don't look it. You're 67, is that what you said?
67 in like a month.
So you're 66.
Yeah.
But you said, hey, I'm at the age where I need to start winding down, and you almost bought into that.
Yeah.
The BS, the belief system. Um,
And where would, I mean, why would anybody believe such batshit crazy thing? But everybody does, right? There's no financial book you read, no financial planner that doesn't say that. Like, hey,
yeah.
in your 50s are your peak earning years, and then you're going to change your philosophy to preservation. And then you think about retirement, and then you figure how much money do you need a month, and then how long do you expect to live? So, what kind of income would you need? And you're basically creating your path to death, right? Whereas
Yeah.
I was really fortunate. I did some work with Nicholas Hayek, who was the founder of Swatch,
Oh, wow.
multi-billionaire
Okay.
guy. He had like 18 watch brands, right? He wore three watches. He'd have like a $12 swatch. He'd have a 50K one from one of his other brands, and then he'd have one worth like 250,000. He was an incredible marketer, right? Just a relentless self
Okay.
promoter. He built himself from scratch, and so we did a direct marketing program together in Central Europe, and we were doing the press conference to promote the event, and we were taking questions from the press, and this young reporter lady asked him, "Well, Mr. Hayek, you're so and so many years." He was at least in his 70s at that point. You're so and so. I might have been 80. I don't remember, but you're like this old and you made millions of dollars and you've established this. Have you given any thought to retirement? And he looked at that lady like she had just called his mother a whore. And he spit back and he said, entrepreneurs are artists and artists never retire.
Huh.
And I heard those words and I was like, oh, that, that man just articulated, because I literally, at 40 years old, had my first midlife crisis right on schedule. I sold my company and I said, I'm going to retire and I'm going to play softball and race my vipers and drink out of a coconut. And I did that for like 9 months and I was going crazy
Yeah.
because I'm an entrepreneur. I have to build things.
Race
Uh,
Vipers. What? Dodge Viper?
yeah.
No way. Oh, how
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. That was my favorite car. I had 9 or 10 of them. So that was I had a lot of cool cars, but that was always my favorite.
You still have one?
No, it clears 4 inches. Okay.
Yeah.
I just climbing in and out of there with, uh, spinal stenosis, which I was blessed and fortunate to inherit from my grandmother and
Yeah.
grandfather. I'm like, no, I need like luxury now. Not,
Right. Yeah.
but yeah.
Different
So
type of luxury.
yes, yes,
Um, so you've used the phrase poverty is a sin.
yes.
That might trigger some folks. I'm sure you've
It
gotten some
triggers
flack
a
about it.
lot of people.
Yeah. But what is that? What do you actually mean by that? Is it about money or is it about something deeper that we can't see just on the surface?
It's when it's about. I believe prosperity is very holistic, right? I think
Okay.
prosperity is not having money and material things. Prosperity is a state of mind. It's a state of consciousness. Poverty is not simply the absence of money and material things. It's also a state of mind, a state of consciousness. So Charles Fillmore, Reverend Charles Fillmore, shocked the religious community of his day when he made this statement: poverty is a sin, or it's a sin to be poor. And I still trigger seminar audiences when I reaffirm that today. And why I say that is, if you actually read the Bible and you look at what is the definition of sin, it's funny, everybody reads the Bible and they think it's written in their language. So, like, everybody in America thinks the Bible's written in English, right?
Hmm.
Everybody in France thinks it was written in French, and but the Bible was written in Aramaic, the principal parts of it. And the definition of sin in Aramaic is to miss the mark. And I believe when
Hmm.
we're living in poverty, we're missing the mark that our Creator has for us. And for people who are a little more metaphysical, maybe they studied the Course in Miracles. The Course in Miracles would define sin as a lack of love. And I'd be okay with that definition as well, because I think we're not accepting the love that, again, I go further. I believe, and no sin to be born poor. I was born poor. Billions of people on earth are born poor. It's a sin to stay poor, because it's an insult to the force that created you with this potential that you have, the light and love and joy that you could bring to the world if you allow yourself to unfold into the highest possible version of yourself. And to stay poor, to stay sick, to stay small, that's just selfish. And that doesn't serve the world. And it certainly doesn't serve you.
Hmm. To stay sick. Sometimes, I mean, is it always an option to not be sick? Does everyone have that option to not be sick?
Well, here's what I think: there are things we have no control over.
Yeah.
You can just be driving along. You're the richest man on earth. You're the happiest man on earth. You have the perfect marriage. You have the perfect kids. You just floated your IPO. You're worth $6 trillion, and a meteorite could land on you and kill you.
Yeah.
Okay. It can happen.
Yeah.
But what I believe is that 95% of the things that happen in our life are things that we have great control, maybe not total control, but great influence toward, right? You mentioned sickness. Well, in 2006, I was diagnosed HIV positive. And let me tell you, in 2006, when your doctor told you that, you
That was a
ran
death
home, you
sentence.
called your insurance agent, called your attorney, you made your will, and I did all those things. But here I am. It's now 20 years later, and I have the healthiest blood work of any patient my entire doctor has. People who are 20, 30, 40 don't have the health, the wellness that I have. Um, because I'm very mindful about my health and my wellness, very mindful about my mental state, right? So
Hmm.
I don't control it, right? But I influence it. I eat clean, I drink clean, I have health routines, I get enough sleep. I make things a priority so that I'm healthy.
Yeah, I guess then, and then you could define healthy, like the choice. The choice is the health. You know, maybe some people can run, maybe some people can't. Maybe some people can still walk 30 minutes a day, some people can't. But what can they do? So if they can get up out of bed, then maybe that's their walking 30 minutes a day. So I guess it's perspective. I
Yeah,
can,
listen, I have a friend, Kyle Maynard. You probably saw him. There's documentaries on him. He's congenital amputee, born with no arms, no legs, and he climbed a mountain. He's like
yeah.
a ESPN 30 for 30 or one of those. Amazing guy. He doesn't have control over that, but he has control how he can respond to that. And I believe we all do. We read Man's Search for Meaning with Frankel, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's like the best book ever.
Yeah. So it was a mindset of he chose how he was going to respond to that.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. You wrote Risky is the New Safe. That's one of your many books. In today's world, with AI, the constant disruption, everything changing all the time, the economic uncertainty, or what people say, economic uncertainty. What does intelligent risk look like?
Not playing it safe, not playing it conventional, zigging when
Okay.
everyone else is zagging.
Okay.
It's funny you bring up that book. So I did the press tour for that book, right? So I'm done
Yeah.
these radio shows and TV shows and podcasts, and people were thought I was insane because I was talking. I wrote that book at the end of 2011. It came out in 2012, if I remember correct. And I was talking about this crazy shit, like this thing called Bitcoin that I was predicting was going to be a big thing, and um, uh, ride sharing apps like Uber and Lyft and Sidecar, and that we were going to have you're going to be able to take a vacation on the moon. And I remember doing Joe Vitale's show, and he started shrieking at one point. He was like, "How do you think this way? How do you think this way?" Because and the people, and so these all these interviewers were talking to me like, okay, we obviously have an insane person on our hands talking about this cryptocurrency thing. How do we humor him? And they'd ask me these questions, and I kept telling them, well, I think you're asking the wrong question. They were saying, do you really believe we're going to be able to have a base on the moon? And my answer was, I think you're asking the wrong question. The better question would be, who owns the moon? Like, what do you mean? Well, I don't know. We went to the moon and we put a flag there and we said, America is there. Do we own it? Because then China went after us and they knocked down our flag probably and put their flag. How, so the better question is, how would we populate the moon without all the wars and territorial aggression that we needed to populate Earth? And I talking about having a home on the floor of the ocean. And they're like, do you really believe you could have a house on the ocean? And I'm like, that's the wrong question. The better question would be, what will the price of ocean floor real estate do to the price of ocean front real estate? What
Mm.
will the fact that this crazy lunatic in Korea at some point is going to be able to call a lab somewhere and say, I'd like to buy 250,000 cloned soldiers? you know that might be a better question to explore, like, how would we defend ourselves against an aggressor with an army of cloned humans, right? How does that work? So I just think that's what Joe drove Joe crazy, because I was like, how does that work at the if Jones and Son Hardware decides to clone four more sons to staff the hardware store, what does that look like at the Thanksgiving dinner table if there's six cloned brothers? And how does that work at driver's license renewal? And I think about these things, and because I'm always thinking about, okay, where are we going? What is going to be the same in the future? What is going to be different in the future? And then what are those opportunities, right? That's the whole theme of your show, is those opportunities that are in what we think might be the obstacles. So that book
Yeah.
was a manifesto for entrepreneurs.
So
And
speaking of entrepreneurs,
yeah,
um, entrepreneurs, we have a tendency, and you'll probably identify with this. We have a tendency to tie our identity to our performance. Like business goes down, our confidence drops. The market shifts, or there's bad news on the horizon, our certainty drops, and that allows fear. How do you how do you encourage people to separate their identity from outcomes?
it's the most important thing we can do. It's everybody has a tendency to that. Mark Andreessen, I think, is the guy who I heard it from first. The idea to have strong convictions or strong ideas loosely held. Like, be willing to change your mind about things.
Mm,
Be willing, and don't, because when you create that certainty, because we're addicted to certainty, right? I'm certain that the MAGA movement is right and everyone else is a libtard and they're stupid. Or
hmm
I'm certain that woke is the way to go and all these MAGA people are fascist, communist pigs, who deserve to die.
hmm
That certainty isn't. So you create that identity. And once you have an identity, your ego wants to protect it. So it's like getting a voluntary lobotomy. So you have to be willing to question the premise of everything, right? Like every uncle wants to be the cool uncle who gives the nieces and nephews the coolest toys, I think, right? I know I did. So I
hmm
wanted my nieces and nephews to have iPads and electronics. At 5 years old, 6 years old, I was buying them $1,000 iPads, thinking I'm giving them a head start in the new world. They will be, And I had a nephew who's just video gaming 16 hours a day, and every birthday, every Christmas, I'd buy whatever the hot new video program was, thinking I was helping him.
So
Now I
if
question the premise and I say, wow, the biggest danger to society right now is social media for kids.
if we go back to that question, like for me with my business, I know when my revenue drops, my confidence drops. My business is tied to real estate, so when we have these headlines that come out, how real estate's going to continue to decline this year, my certainty is gone. Like you talked about certainty, control. So that makes me afraid. How do I separate my identity from that, like from the outcome?
Well, I first you have to say people make money when real estate goes up. People make money when real estate goes down. Investors make money when the stock market goes up. Investors make money when the stock market goes down.
And
So
those are both true. We know those to be true.
you
Like,
know that with every
yeah,
fiber of your being.
yeah,
There's
yep,
people who make a fortune in every real estate crash,
yep,
right?
yep,
So you don't have to say, well, the real estate market went down. That means my earnings are going to go down. That
right.
means I'm a bad person because I'm not good at my job, which is how I identify myself.
Yeah,
You have to say, no, real estate is one of the businesses or one of the vocations that I use to earn money, but I'm still a beautiful, wonderful, perfect human being with love and empathy and relationships and a spouse and parents and children, and I can contribute to the world. And there's this whole bigger person, but
yeah,
part of me, right? Why I was using the analogy of like my nieces and nephews is this caused me when I saw what's happening now as a because now I've got my nieces and nephews are having children, right?
hmm
So now I'm telling them, don't let your kids get an electronic device before they're 12. Don't let them get on social media until they're 16. right? Well, I've completely changed my belief on that. But if I made it my identity, I can't change my belief because my
Oh,
ego is going to make me defend my identity, right?
yeah.
If you buy a Lexus and you identify as a Lexus owner, you're going to show your new Lexus to your neighbor and say, let me show you it's got this function in them. Then you're going to go to Lexus owner chats on Reddit and you're going to follow the Lexus. You identify yourself as a Lexus owner. If BMW or Genesis or whoever comes out with a better car, you're never going to get it because you identify as. So whether anytime you attach a label, Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Christian, Jew, Buddhist, vegetarian, Lexus owner, gun owner, you create an identity that your ego's going to want to defend, and then you're having that volunteer lobotomy.
So how about four rapid fire questions? You down?
All right.
All right. So one belief about money that most entrepreneurs get wrong.
It's hard to
Wrong's probably
raise money.
strong. What's
It's,
that?
it's hard to raise money. There
Okay.
are literally trillions of dollars,
Yeah.
pesos, euros, pounds, everything around the world desperately looking for somewhere they could invest it, which would grow it.
Yeah. What is a habit that changed your life?
I got off social media.
Oh, wow. All right. One myth about success that you wish would die or go away.
Well, somebody started the thing, call a rich person and offer to buy them lunch so you can pick their brain. And if I find who that person is, I'm going to kill them because I received that call 50 times. I always the one who ends up buying lunch, and they never do what they get advised to most of the time. I, so it's like a trope or a cliche. I don't think people seriously look at like, okay, how could I get this person? How could I create the value where they could mentor me? I could provide value to them so they could provide value to me. I think would
Yeah.
just be a healthier approach.
Yeah. So I'm going to forfeit my last question. I'm going to talk a little more about that, if that's okay.
All right.
So I had someone contact me the other day. They sent me an email. They sent me a text. I don't know how they got my phone number, and then they messaged me on LinkedIn. Then they went to my coaching page and they scheduled a time to coach. So finally, I called him, and the guy said, "Hey, I just want to get on your radar. I know that you're the president of EO Charleston. You're in entrepreneur groups. I want to be a business owner. I want to start getting in this, rubbing shoulders with these people and get in this environment. And I just wanted to give you my name. Can you help me?" So to your point, he comes to me and gives me a job. Here's here's your job. Your job is to make me known in your circle of your social group or whatever that is.
He gave you two jobs. He gave you that one and the other one, which is tell me how you can help me. You do the
Oh
work.
yeah, yeah. I didn't even think about that. Oh my gosh, you're so observant. Yeah, that's right. Um,
Yeah. So he wanted to get on your radar. He did. He got on your radar as, oh shit, I have a fucking stalker now.
yeah,
This
he
guy.
did. He
Here's
did say. He said, "Well, good thing I got." He said, "Well, good. I'm on your radar now." I said, "Well, that's not
right.
a good
Whereas
thing."
if he would have done an hour worth of research about you and found out that you were a San Diego Padres fan or a Minnesota Vikings fan, or that you were a fly fisherman, and then he sent you a little gift, or he just sent you an article. Hey, I know you're a big Padres fan. I saw this article about AJ Preller and how he signs free agents, and I thought you might be interested in it. You'd say, wow, this is somebody who cares about me as a human being. What a
Right.
thoughtful thing that they did, right?
Yes.
If
Yes. This is somebody I should know.
I mean, I get some requests like that I'm like, wow, I want to help this kid because they're like, hey, I'd like to build a web page for you for free to show you what I could do and I think would help you. Or, hey, I'd like to create a mobile app for you. I'm just launching my business. I don't have any clients. I'll build one for you. And then if you like it, give me a testimonial. You show
Yeah.
me that kind of incentive, that kind of creating value. I'm like, yeah, I want to help them.
Yeah.
I get emails like, I have an internet radio show and we're in 180 countries around the world. And I'm like, okay, here's somebody who has 4 listeners on their show a week, counting his mother, and he thinks I'm a fucking moron. So, you know, whereas feet say, I really admire you. I just started my show. I have like 4 people missing, listen a week, but I wonder if you'd be willing to help me if I could help you in any way. Value, you know what I mean? You would say,
Yeah.
and I do. I say to Sam, yeah, go ahead, book me on the guy's show or book me on her podcast. I know there's only 10 people watching, but I feel like, okay, if I could give back and help that person. Look at what you did at the very start, before we even went online, before we turned on the mic. You said to me, hey, I appreciate you doing the show for me. What can I do for you? Do you have one of your books you want to promote or something, right? You're thinking about, how can I create value?
Yeah, because that's what you're doing for me. That's
That's how
exactly what
scary
you're doing for me.
confidence.
Yeah. Um, so here's what I have done in the past for anyone that's listening about this banter back and forth. Like, because that's one of the things that people teach. Hey, find some success leaves clues. Find what you want to be and contact that person. See if you can get some mentoring. I have done it, research the person, find their charity, and then I'll contact them and say, "Hey, I know that you donate to SADS. I know that you donate to autism. If you will give me 15 minutes of your time, I will donate $100 a minute." And then they know I'm not going over, right? It's 15 minutes. I'll donate $100 a minute. I'm not going to go over the time. That has worked. That has served me well, doing
Good.
something like that and limiting that time. Would you respond to that if
Yeah,
someone contacts you?
I love stuff like that. It just
Yeah.
shows me they got some skin in the game, because that's the problem with, hey, let me buy you lunch and pick your brain. I've had
Yeah.
people that, I meet them 4 times in a row, and every time is like, this is when I was younger. I would never get sucked into this now. Right? The most sacred thing is my calendar, right? Because that's my time.
Yeah.
So now I would never let that happen. Back then, I'm like, wow, this is the 4th time I've had lunch with this person, and they still haven't done their homework from the first time. Why am I keep agreeing to meet this person?
Yeah.
Because they're not serious. They want to convince me that they're moving forward, because they're trying to convince themselves that they're moving forward, but they really just want to stay being a victim.
Yeah.
They have no skin in the game, right? So
Yeah.
when somebody puts skin in the game, it tells you, yeah, like, they really want to do this. Like for
Yeah.
me, right? I do my podcast for free. I do my blog for free. I have my Breakthrough You Entrepreneurial Accelerator Program. I have 3 levels: the $77 a month level, it's a $500 a month level, there's a $10,000 a month level. So people follow their money, right? The people
Yeah.
who pay me 10 grand a month, they're the easiest clients in the world to work with. They do their homework, they follow through, they show up, they participate, they got skin in the game, they're committed to it, right? Whereas you'll see this if you do, like I do consulting, right? I used to have contracts that were, $10,000 contracts, and we'd be chasing them after money every time and whatever. Now I do these multi-million-dollar contracts, and they wire transfer the money while you're in the initial Zoom meeting. They're like, okay, yeah, I just sent Becky because let's say I've got a $200,000 deposit for the contract, right? We'll be in
Mhm.
the Zoom. I have clients that do this now. They're like, yeah, I just sent Becky a message, and then she's be sending it today, and we'll be 10 minutes later in the call, and she'll say, yeah, I just got the message from Becky. The money's been sent. That's
Nice.
that's who you want to work with, people like,
Yeah.
right? Because they're invested, they're all in.
Yeah. And speaking
They
of invested, you've invested time here and I'm taking advantage of it now. I'm taking you over time. So, um,
All right. Well,
close this.
one thing before we get out of here, for everybody watching or listening, I got a PDF for free on my website, 7 Elements of an Abundant Life. Just go there, randygage.com, download it, and you'll see what the holistic version of prosperity looks like. And I think that'll be very helpful for everyone. And then if they are an entrepreneur, you seem to skew to entrepreneurs in your show, check out the link Breakthrough You, that accelerator program. They could find that a really good resource for them as well.
For sure. Yeah. Three different levels there too. So that's randygage.com.
Yeah.
And then you'll also have links there to all your books, your podcast, your Power Prosperity podcast as well.
Podcast, blog, everything.
Okay.
It's on my Starfleet command site.
Yeah. And you can also connect with him on social media, but it's going to be probably an assistant because he just said he gave up social media that changed his life. But you
Exactly.
can go there and check it out.
Yes.